Hello everybody, my name is the Poke of Wall Street, aka Curly McCurlyhair, and let's talk about Dirty Bomb, a game that we all love and enjoy playing. But, you know, lately it's reached a stable player base of 500 people, which is not very good for a competitive first-person esports title. Yeah, it's very sad to see it die like this, but we're going to be talking about, as you can tell by the title, if Dirty Bomb should come back, why should it come back, and how should it come back. So, let's talk about first one of the more important things is, should Dirty Bomb come back? Does it have any merit to deserve a resurgence? Now, unlike many other professional streamers out there who think the game is very generic, but they only play the tutorial and got stomped on because you blazed through the tutorial not paying attention. Yeah, it may look at first like a generic game. You know, Unreal Engine 3 will do that to you. It's kind of buggy and glitchy, but it is a much better and fully optimized version of Brink. Brink was originally meant to be this fast-paced parkour heavy shooter with heavy influence on gun mechanics and movement. Very key features in the game. And if you've ever played it, it feels really slow and sluggish and like you're walking around with heavy boots. Like it doesn't feel as fluid or as fast as some of Dirty Bomb's fastest characters feel. Like everybody in Dirty Bomb feels fast and smooth, but when you reach, some of the lighter characters like Proxy and Aura, you'll be flying at blazing speeds, and it's actually pretty fun just to be a running lightweight merc. It's a really fun game, and it sets itself apart at the time by being one of the first hero shooters with great gunplay mechanics. It was heavy on the guns and heavy. It wasn't like Overwatch where you have hard counters everywhere, and there's always a new meta when they introduce the new most overpowered character, and rather than balancing the characters, you just add another overpowered character. Dirty Bomb always had a pretty stable balance mechanic. Some guns were extremely cheesy, like the original burst rifles, the PDP at the time. Some people disliked sniper rifles because you get headshotted once, you get insta-gib, meaning you can't get revived. Other people hate the shotguns, but once you level out of the low tier servers, you'll realize that they're trash because you can kill them faster, they can kill you. There's all of these things that people thought were overpowered, but the developers spent a lot of time trying to patch them up and talking with some of the more professional competitive players out there to see what their opinions were. That's why you saw shotguns going from short range noob stompers to mid range, they're okay, I guess. Weapons, weapons like the BR-16 and stuff like that had nerves, bringing them down to a more reasonable place in the guns. The game went from, obviously, since it was in early access, beta stages, it went from near impossible to play to nowadays pretty enjoyable to play. Obviously when you introduce a new character like Javelin, you're gonna have that curve of people who don't know what they're doing against her, getting stunned by the more cheesy scenarios, and then things that you thought on paper would work really well don't really work out the way you expected, so you have to go and rebalance certain things. But now you look at Javelin, seems pretty fair. Good weaponry, good abilities. Good support character for if you have another fire support with you, but it doesn't deal as much damage. You can't shoot as fast. It's easier to dodge the rockets nowadays. So the game has a lot of these varied characters that a lot of people enjoy. So between varied charismatic characters with actual personalities, sure, they look very generic due to the engine limitations and character designs, more of a near sci-fi real world rather than a cartoonish, caricature like Overwatch would do. So you've got these characters that people enjoy, weaponry that feels good to shoot, and movement that's enjoyable to play. So it's a good game. It's an enjoyable game, and it's a shame that it started its life with the Unreal Engine 3 because it's known to be very buggy and slow to work with, and it causes a lot of bugs and issues that many people have known for a long time. Poor optimization. They added DX11, finally one of the this past year, I think, and it was a blessing from above. But again, you had DX11 in a day, an age where DX12 and Vulkan are like the new frontier. You know, it can be pretty annoying for those who have higher end computers who can't really run it to their full power. So if Dirty Bomb were to come back, since now we've discussed that, yeah, a lot of people want Dirty Bomb back. A lot of people still play Dirty Bomb. A lot of people enjoy or have enjoyed Dirty Bomb, but were burnt out due to the lack of content or due to the lack of content, or as others would say, lack of content as well. So now that we know that Dirty Bomb should come back, now we have the real hard question of how should it? And we've got a couple scenarios of games that have come back from the dead, whether from spiritual successors, literal successors, or games that, died and came back, and it's the same game itself. So let's talk about literal successors. Games like Tom Clancy's The Division died out real quick. Lots of bugs, lots of glitches, super grinding. Nobody really enjoyed that game. But later on, throughout the lifespan, they developed a good game near the end, but nobody played it. So what they did is use that finished product and introduce it as a new game and move on from there. And a lot of people enjoyed that game, and a lot of people play that game, and it's a lot of fun. So that's one way of doing it. Another way would be Battlefront, another game. The new EA Battlefront game originally came out. It was lots of fun, really good visuals and really good audio, but no content, and it felt really, like a cash grab. So a lot of people didn't want to play that game and stopped playing that game really quickly. And then Battlefront 2 comes out, and it tanks really hard because of the microtransactions, but it's having a resurgence. More and more people are playing it nowadays, and they've had an active development for, I don't know, since the game came out up until, this past month. I think they announced the Star Wars Day events and stuff. So that's another game that died, had a successor die, and then came back as well. Games that have spiritual successors, mainly some shooters. Obviously, it's hard to get it right. You expect like some Unreal Tournament games to come back. Maybe some developer, really enjoys that game format and creates his own version of it. But if you look at games like that, we just have to look at, and then we know what can happen. So maybe not a spiritual successor from a separate developer, or a spiritual successor from the actual development team, but a game that did work out and created a really large franchise was Bioshock. Bioshock was a spiritual successor, if many people don't know, to a very, very good and famous game called System Shock. And people were like, okay, let's make something that is similar to that, but in modern time. And they made Bioshock. Other games like Assassin's Creed, it was meant to be a Prince of Persia game after the hard tank of the latest Prince of Persia game at the time, and they were like, you know what? Let's just make it its own thing. And it had that similar parkour feel to Prince of Persia, but it was its own separate entity and branched out to many, many different things. But it was created by the same publishing team. I'm not sure if it was the same developers that created Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time trilogy. But yeah, so those are some games that, the originals were really good, and then they came up with a new game that flourished and succeeded. But for those few stories of games that succeeded, there you have hundreds and hundreds of stories of, yeah, not really fun, is it? But now that we're talking about this, let's focus on what I think would be great for Dirty Bomb as it is now. Since I talked with some people and they said they'd rather Dirty Bomb not come back, the sense of like creating a sequel or a spiritual successor or something like that. Although if there is nothing else, I'd rather have a spiritual successor or a sequel that plays similar or better, you know? But a lot of people think that if the game should come back, it should have a comeback story like Rainbow Six. I don't know how they managed to bring back Rainbow Six from the brink of absolute trash that it was to the absolute behemoth of esports that it is now. So a lot of people are hoping that Dirty Bomb gets that comeback one of these days, whether it's a year from now, 2 years, 3 years, or something happens, or the developers come back to the game after a year. Who knows? Who knows? But people are hoping that Dirty Bomb can come back as it is now with more and better development teams working on them. I don't know better or more. I've never developed a game, so I'm not one to talk about this. But I have heard that the development team working on Dirty Bomb was a much bare bones skeleton team than the actual ginormous Splash Damage Corporation. It's a game that was hemorrhaging money, so it's understandable that you wouldn't want to spend all your team on a game that makes you lose money on a passion project when you can be working on other games that make you a lot more money. So we're here's to hoping that somehow through a game that Splash Damage develops or helps develop with, that they earn a buttload of money, so much money that they don't know what to do with it, that they actually decide, hey, let's go finish up Dirty Bomb and complete our life's goal. That's one way. That's the one way that I hope it is. Using the same people who developed it, using the same game, just making it truly what it should have been. A fully optimized, fast-paced, first-person shooter with heavy character and weapon mechanics. And that would be great, you know, wishful thinking now. But if you are like me, tell me, how do you hope Dirty Bomb comes back? Or do you want Dirty Bomb to come back? Some people don't want it to come back. Some people want them to create a new game that is different in every way. What are your opinions? What are your thoughts in here? I love to hear them. Thank you so much, guys, for liking videos, subscribing to the channel, and following me on Twitch. Appreciate it. We're moving right along, and hopefully one of these days we get to 1,000 YouTube subscribers so I can start getting paid again. That would be great. Thanks, guys.